Hello, my name is Robert Schmeling. This presentation has been prepared for Course IDS 403 and recorded on September 28th, 2016. The facilitator for the class is Dr. Kimberly Hall. The presentation will cover the dehumanization of the service industry as a result of technology, or what the tablet has wrought. Thank you for your time today. So, in the beginning, identity. What defines us? Clothing, hairstyle, choice of music, car we drive. These are all defining characteristics of the person's identity, and right up until the mid-2000s. At that point, the internet was changing the way things were getting done. However, had completely adopted and had not completely changed the way things had been done. The internet has already changed the way we shop, we get our news, even converse with friends and family. But now we're about to bring the internet into our own pockets. Portable handheld devices would add another factor to how we see ourselves at this point. They're another form of identity, another piece of identity, where were we to not have one, you may as well just continue listening to CDs and talking on a hardline phone. By 2014, there were over 1 billion people worldwide that had adopted smartphones. That's a staggering number of people that had adopted a smartphone in such a short period of time. Smartphones even outpaced the adoption, of the television at a rate achieving 40% market saturation in just under 2.5 years. In less than 10 years, the smartphone had moved the internet from something that you had at your desk to something you now carried around with you and had in your hand. By June of 2014, 60% of all internet traffic was now coming to mobile devices. Today's society drives even further development in this arena. If adding to the pressure put on personal identity is not something that we already see, ensuring that you have the right device is something that's definitely putting pressure in that area. If you don't have a smartphone and an Instagram account, are you really a person? If you don't have Twitter and don't tweet on a regular basis, do you have an opinion, and is that presented to the public? If you don't have 1,000 likes for today's selfie, you aren't significant. Technology, in the case of the mobile device, has altered the concept of the circle of friends to mean a sphere of peers, people that acknowledge your existence and at their leisure define whether they are going to like or dislike your whatever it is that you've posted online. As we drive further development into the mobile arena, we will continue to shift focus toward this behavior. So how does this impact security? If you even consider security, which you should. So for us information security professionals, in 2001, we were concerned with attacks via email, attacks against our publicly facing websites or public content. The biggest impact to security at the time was the NIMDA virus. This infected Microsoft IIS servers, so your web servers that were enabled on Microsoft servers, and caused denial of service due to excess traffic. That was the biggest topic of the day. NIMDA was reported some 27% of the time back in 2001, and IT professionals were anything but concerned about mobile devices at this point. They were simply handheld devices that you made phone calls on, and you might have used this thing called SMS to send text messages, and this was something we saw as a good replacement for the beeper. So fast forward 10 years, and what do we have now? Smartphones are now transmitting and receiving company email, integrated into the corporate landscape via mobile device management, and even have their own landing pages in a lot of cases for corporate WANs. Having to say that you need mobile device management solution alone was enough to realize that social change had occurred and had changed our identity from professionals concerned with the attacks from the outside to hand-tied individuals, forced to allow the outside right into our front door via these smartphone devices, via the devices carried in the hands of employees of the organization. If the smartphone of today had been available in 2001 during the NIMDA outbreak, for example, the notifications would have been sent, remote login via these devices would have occurred, and remediation taken place perhaps in half the time that it did, which is the showing that there are benefits to the adoption of smartphones and mobile devices. What does this mean for the service industry? What does this mean for this industry where people interact with people? Well, the tablet, which is the big brother of the smartphone. It's the tablet has seen rise in the industry and seen rise in day-to-day use, particularly after the introduction of the iPad in 2010. While not a complete replacement for a laptop as a de facto portable computing device for the masses, it has found its way into mass adoption, particularly in service-based industries such as restaurants and bars. As a result, the introduction of this technology, we're removing the human factor from a previously human task, otherwise called the McDonaldization of the service industry, where people are reduced to mindless servers puttering around carrying order items to tables as demanded of them by the computerized solution, in this case the tablet. The service industry is uniquely predisposed to the adoption of technologies of this nature in order to reduce that human factor and to increase efficiency. By adding self-service technology to the table, the service industry has removed the need to talk to a human about the order. Food and drink then arrive by chance, based on the person who happened to pick up a ticket at the particular time, versus someone that you had interacted with from start to finish and had worked with you on the order that you had placed. The results are simple. As I said earlier, further McDonaldization of the service industry, or further dehumanization. Technology is substituting human interaction for efficiency. So, let us keep our humanity for humanity's sake. So, as this trend of McDonaldization or the dehumanization of the service industry expands, fewer and fewer servers will be trained to take orders or interact with humans, and human patrons will come to expect this, and to expect devices rather than people to serve them. This is where change now could forestall this removal of humanity from the service process before it's really too late. Patrons should be demanding this. The businesses could easily afford putting these devices as menu replacements, as hardbound rather, paper devices, and replace them with technology that could not only provide you with a menu and pictures, if you will, of food and descriptions of what the food is, but also potentially take orders, etc. However, people could still be involved in the process, providing a personalized experience feedback regarding various items or drink offerings of the establishment. As an example, a person could be seated by a hostess or host and told that the menu is available to them within a piece of technology, and that a server, an individual named server, would then be approaching them to discuss any questions that they may have and to further assist them with placing their order. These devices, therefore, could be handled by experienced waitstaff and handled at the table, or even carried to the table, depending on how the deployment was chosen to be made. If you wanted to use the old way of handing out menus, to expedite the ordering process while still enabling humans to interact with other humans and engage a human server who can provide answers and suggestions to patrons. The business would benefit because they're still keeping that human touch. They would reduce the number of waitstaff, as there would be really fewer people that would have to stand there and interact with individuals, as the tablet itself, or the device, whatever it is, could be used to place the order, could be used to provide descriptions, etc., but that even provide a button that summons the server to the table for questions and to provide answers, etc. But the process of human interaction, or the human touch would still remain. The introduction would be no different than, as I stated, remote notification devices. Something you get today when you go into a restaurant or an establishment and have to wait in order to be seated. That little blinky device that buzzes and tells you when you're ready to go. These devices could be deployed in the similar fashion, and even, as I said earlier, provide interaction or a facility to connect with your server to get them to come back to your table and answer any questions that you might have. These devices could be handheld and handed to you at larger establishments, and they could even start to finish provide you with functionality such as seating, and be carried on from the time that you're presented at the restaurant with the device until you're seated, until you place your order, until you pay your check. By having an inventory of these devices available by wait staff or host staff, what have you, we shift from the table to the wait staff to ensure that servers are there to provide the human touch that is surely leaving the industry. So the conclusion, in the end, by providing human service to an ever-dehumanizing institution, we demonstrate the need and desire for people to talk to people, rather than people only wanting to tap on screens and type and do other things rather than talk. Thank you very much for your time.